Near the very beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick opposed closing businesses and public gathering places, measures that he feared would precipitate a long-lasting economic collapse. Patrick, who was himself 69 years old at the time, said it was senior citizens who were most at risk from the virus who were actually the ones who should be leading the push for business as usual. He said, "No one reached out to me and said, as a senior citizen, are you willing to take a chance on your survival in exchange for keeping the America that all America loves for your children and grandchildren? And if that's the exchange, I'm all in." This Shabbat's second Torah portion, Matot-Masei, ends with a command not to tolerate bloodshed in the land of Israel, accidental or premeditated. Concluding this section, the Torah commands, "Lo tachanifu et haaretz," do not pollute the land in which you are, for blood will pollute it. The Hebrew word for pollute, tachanifu, is related to the word for flattery, chanufa, inspiring a teaching by Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, known as Rav Moshe, who was among the most influential rabbinic authorities of the 20th century. Rav Moshe explained that intolerance for bloodshed and violence cannot simply flow from a desire to maintain a well-ordered society. This is because it's possible to believe that in order to be strong, a certain degree of violence in society is necessary. That there are people whose interests, whose well-being, whose very lives simply must be sacrificed for the greater good. He reads the verse not "do not pollute the land," but "do not flatter the land," meaning do not place the land, the country, the nation above living and breathing human beings. And having witnessed the twin horrors of communism and fascism, Rav Moshe knew of what he spoke. I believe it's more than likely he would have recognized Dan Patrick's willingness to risk the health of millions of senior citizens for the sake of a national economy in similar terms. Instead, Rav Moshe insisted that law and order must flow from a universal respect for the non-negotiable value, for the innate dignity of each and every individual human being. A paper presented at the Yale School of Medicine last year noted that both the flu pandemic of 1918 and the COVID-19 pandemic disproportionately affected lower-income workers and their families. So-called essential workers were twice as likely to die of COVID than others in their age group. Those in the lowest income groups were at the highest risk. So Rav Moshe's teaching challenges us to recognize the ways in which we do flatter our land, the sacrifices for our country, for our lifestyle that we demand, often from those without the agency to resist. And at the same time, Rav Moshe challenges us to imagine what it would look like if intolerance for bloodshed and violence in our society was truly rooted in universal respect for the non-negotiable value and the innate dignity of each and every individual human being, created as they are in the image of God. Shabbat Shalom.